Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Charlie Fibrosis, and boy, oh boy, have I got some news for you guys that puts me in a very, very good mood. Um, so I do want to talk a little bit about E3 real quick, and I want to give a little bit of credit here as well. So, unfortunately, I haven't really had a chance to watch any of the E3 coverage in regards to actually getting to watch it live. The way that everything lines up is I'm still at work when when the actual conferences are going on. I'm led to believe that it probably would get blocked, possibly by our network. So I can't, even if I wanted to, I really can't watch it. And to be honest, I'd like to be able to take my time on being able to go back and look at what has been announced and double check and confirm and everything else like that. So, with that all being stated, I want to talk a little bit about some of the games that are announced, but also tell you about a game that was just announced today that I just did some research on. That I've reconfirmed that this is absolutely true. There's no lies here whatsoever. I've just got my phone off to the side so I can read off here. Um, but I want to talk about this stuff. So, today is June 11th. It's Tuesday. We've already had Bethesda's thing. We've already had their conference. We've had the Xbox conference. We had Ubisoft's conference. And today was the Nintendo Switch conference. And I know that there was one more conference, but I don't know why it's not coming to me. Um, Square Enix. Square Enix had a conference as well. I know that there was also a PC conference that was done or is going to be done. But yeah, that's everything that I can think of off the top of my head. So let's do this. So these are the games that are announced from E3, and I will add a game on here that is not announced specifically at E3. It was announced a few days earlier, but I am excited for it. So let's go through here. The E3 games announced that I personally am interested in, and there is one game on this list that I am a little bit worried about, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So, let's go into it. So, the very first game is Minecraft Dungeons. I don't know exactly why I'm really excited about that, but the way that I can see it is I see that as a potentially very, very fun game for me and my buddies. I know that I've played games with, you guys have seen them all and on, but like Cody, DJ, Dylan, Goss, Cole, Shane, all these guys. I love playing games with them all across the board. Eric, these guys are my buddies. They are my buddies to the core, and I love getting to play games with them, especially on the occasion that we get to do something outside of NR. So something like Minecraft Dungeons really appeals to me and makes me excited because we can all get together and we can all go at it. And as a dungeon crawler, I really don't know much about the genre, but it just seems fun. It just seems fun, and I'd love to be able to get some friends of mine together to play that. And I think it could be some great content for not only my channel, but their channels as well. I just want to have a fun time with my buddies, and I think that could be a game that we could all really get into. We all like playing a little bit of Minecraft anyway, which I recently got back into. Next up, from Square Enix, is Marvel Avengers. I don't know too much about it. And I really am not big into the Marvel MCU. I know I kind of repeated myself there, but the MCU, I have a little bit of interest in it, but I'm not like big into it. I do plan on sitting down and watching the second and third phase, and I am interested in Spider-Man Far From Home. I've always kind of liked Spider-Man anyway, but the Marvel Avengers game looks pretty cool. Looks interesting. And I want to do a little bit more research on it and learn more about it and get right into it. Next up, Lego Star Wars: the Skywalker Saga. Sorry, I flubbed that. The only reason why I'm interested in that is I actually don't have any of the Lego Star Wars games. So essentially, if what they're going to be doing is remastering like the original 3 games or so, um, regarding like I guess the prequels, I don't know. If they're going to be remastering that, like when it was around the time that like Lego Indiana Jones came out and stuff like that, like in 2007, 2009, somewhere in that time, and they're giving you all 9 games in one package. That's a really good deal. I see no reason whatsoever to go and buy the original games if you're going to get this one massive package that could potentially be better than the original games were. At least graphically, they could be very much better. So that's kind of a convenience type of game. Next up, Gods and Monsters. I love Breath of the Wild, and this looks like it's essentially Breath of the Wild, but with more Greek elements into it. I haven't done really any research on this game. A cousin of mine shared some stuff about it on Facebook that I need to sit down and read. She's excited for it. It looks interesting to me, and I'm more than willing to give it a shot. Next up, I've known about this game for months now, and I'm not going to get it until until a Steam version comes out. But The Outer Worlds, I watched the initial trailer for it back around February, I believe, and essentially my feeling is that this looks, in terms of the controls, it looks similar to Fallout 4, which is a good thing. I think that the controls in Fallout 4 were a little bit smoother, but the openness and freedom to do just about anything that you wanted, and it's a very, very big open RPG. I really like that. So it combines the elements of hopefully good controls like Fallout 4, but good story, good characters, good plot, good everything, similar to like Fallout New Vegas and the earlier Fallout games. So I'm excited for that, but I will only get it if it comes to Steam. Next up, this one is not going to be coming to Steam, I believe, because it's EA, and EA has Origin, and I am going to talk about this because I feel that it does need to be talked about. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, let me say this. I had a friend of mine say that he saw the trailer before I did. I didn't actually get a chance to see it until today. And my simple feeling is that it looks kind of cool, but I'm not really impressed. I'm not impressed, really. Because to me, it feels like essentially the Tomb Raider games, the newer Tomb Raider games, so Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think it was Tomb Raider 2013, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, like those games mixed with Assassin's Creed, mixed with just like any real third-person platform action game. The Last of Us was another game that I can think of, which I've never played, by the way, but I've heard it's really good. But the point is that it just looks like, on its own, it looks like something I've already played before. But the only real difference is that it's got some Star Wars elements thrown into it. And I've played The Force Unleashed. Like, this seems a little bit more fleshed out and maybe a little bit better controlling than The Force Unleashed, in regards to being able to do things. And I think that there's some quick time stuff in the game. Both The Force Unleashed I know did. but Fallen Order looks like it's going to have QuickTime events. I'm sorry, it really doesn't wow me. I watched the gameplay footage. I feel like there needs to be something else to this that just makes it feel more amazing. And I don't know what it's going to be or what it's going to specifically get to grab me and pull me into this. But at this time, at least, I just don't have a lot of positive feelings regarding it. Not to say that the game is going to be bad. I hope it's not bad. But I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I don't pick up games usually day one anyway. With maybe an exception or two. But I've got such a backlog category, a backlog of games alone that I've played a little bit of, and I don't go back to them. As interesting as they were on paper and on premise, it just never pulled me back into it. And that really disappoints me. So, I hope Fallen Order does well. I hope that they show me something that really gets my brain moving and so. But at this time, I don't think I'm going to get it. But it does have my interest a little bit. Last up is, at least in terms of announced games, is Cyberpunk 2077. Everyone's talking about Keanu Reeves right now because he's in the game. I don't know anything about Cyberpunk 2077, but with how much hype that's getting and how many people are interested in the game, I am more than willing to check it out. I want to do some more research before I decide whether I want to get the game or not, but it does look interesting. It really does look interesting for what little I know about it. Alright, so that is my list of announced games from E3. However, there are two games that I do want to talk about, and they're both nostalgic properties and nostalgic games to me. Number one is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I never actually owned Battle for Bikini Bottom. I played it a little bit on the Hospital's PS2 a few times, and I thought it was really, really fun. Now, this is back when I'm like 8 to 10 years old, roughly. And I've played the game a little bit. I emulated it and gave it a shot. Had some fun with it. The fact that they're officially releasing it to PC and they're making a remaster of it. Probably going to get Clancy Brown's voice for Mr. Krabs in this case, which will be great. I'm really, really excited for it. I haven't played much of the game from the emulation, but it's a fun little platformer. It's not the best thing that I've ever played, but it's a rather stable platformer. And I cannot wait to see the additional changes and improvements that they make to the remaster. Now, alright guys, let's get the waterworks going. Let's get the happiness flowing because, my God, I'm so happy that this was announced. So, before I make this next game title, gotta give credit. Beat 'em Ups, aka Woodhawker. Beat 'em Ups is on YouTube. I love watching his stuff. He's a real cool dude. He actually, I've been watching most of his E3 presentation reviews and stuff like that. And I've been keeping myself up to date that way to see what the games are announced and little bits and pieces here and there. So I'm watching his Nintendo video today, as Nintendo did their presentation. There are some good games that are coming out. I am very interested in Breath of the Wild 2, as it's tentatively known, which I do have a question for that at the very end. But they announced like 30 or 40 games that really didn't have like a lot of information given about them, but it was just bam, 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 bam. Like in a 3-minute period, they rattled off about 30 different games that were coming to the Switch. And once I saw this particular game, I screamed out in joy. And I had to double check something. Because it's available on PS4. It's available on Xbox One. It's going to be available on Switch. My only question is, will it be available on Steam for PC? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. In this whole line, as of late, in regards to remasters and everything like that, this is the one single game I have been waiting for nearly 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, my childhood gaming icon, my favorite series that I ever played growing up, and a little character who holds a lot of nostalgic value to me, and the original games still hold up pretty darn well, and I am very excited for its re-release and its remaster. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally get to bring Spyro the Dragon to Switch and PC. Now, this is what blows my mind. I actually have been considering for months now to get possibly an Xbox One or a PS4, because now this game hasn't been announced yet, and I do hope that they eventually release it, but I'm kind of 50-50 at this point. There's only a handful of games that are first party or like console exclusives that I hope get a PC release. One of them I know they're not going to do, but they interest me. They interest me enough that I almost got myself at least a PS4 to get the game. Number one is Spider-Man PS4. I know that's probably never coming to PC, and that's okay. It looks really good, and I'd love to play it someday. I don't think it will ever get released to any other platforms. That's beside the point. It's one of the 3 games that I considered getting a PS4 for. Second game is Red Dead Redemption 2. I hope that they release that on PC eventually. I think it would actually be pretty cool, and it would be kind of nice to be able to play both Grand Theft Auto 5, which I already have on PC, and Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. I've never played a Red Dead Redemption game before, ever. Didn't own an Xbox growing up. But Red Dead 2, a lot of my friends, a lot of my co-workers, they have the game, and they've got it on Xbox One, and they loved it. And I'm just kind of sitting here. It's either get a PS4 or get an Xbox One, or hope that it comes out on PC. And there's been rumors that the PC version may come out. And Spyro Reignited. Spyro Reignited is the biggest game that I have been hoping would get a Switch or PC release, because those are the only 2 systems that I have that are newer. I prefer PC because you can mess with the graphics a little bit more, and there's better backwards compatibility. There is no backwards compatibility with the Switch. You can't play Wii U games or Wii games on it. And I love my PC. I've invested so much money and games into my PC collection. I was hoping that this would come out, and it finally is. So, just to show you guys that I'm not a cheeky little liar, I do want to show you guys this. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I think that everything is safe. Yes. Okay. Here is my Steam Spyro Reignited Trilogy, available September 3rd. Yep. It unlocks in 2 months. It's in my cart. It's ready to go whenever I'm ready. And oh my god, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. That That just puts such a smile on my face. Now, I do know that the PS4 version or the Xbox One version had some minor issues with it, and I think they are working on getting that fixed. But on its own, man, I'm just so excited about it. I cannot wait for this game to launch, and it comes at a great time too. September is going to be a convention month for me anyway, so I'm just really, really hyped. I'm really, really excited for this, and I'm going to love it. I'm also happy that the game is not $60. I'm actually blown away that it is $40. $40 to get Reignited on PC. That puts me in such a good mood. I do plan on eventually picking up the Crash Insane Trilogy. I did actually try it a little bit, but I couldn't get my head around the controls. Just as a brief anecdote, my buddy Will Goss, great dude, love racing against him, love chilling with him, fun guy to hang out with. He grew up on the Crash series, and he loves the Reignited trilogy. Never has played Spyro. I grew up on the Spyro trilogy, never played Crash Bandicoot in my entire life, and I need to pick it up. I need to pick up both games, actually, but I'm hyped for the Reignited trilogy. I'm very, very excited about that. So yeah. We're finally getting Spyro, and that makes me just warm so deeply in my heart. So, I do have one question for you guys. I do want to go back to something. I mentioned earlier how with Nintendo's E3 presentation today, that apparently a Breath of the Wild sequel is being worked on as we speak. That's interesting. Because I gotta be honest with you. I love Breath of the Wild for what it was. I was kind of 50-50, at least in terms of the lack of backstory, but not all of the Legend of Zelda games kind of link into one another. Specifically, there's only a few that have essentially direct sequels to one another, and the only one that I've ever played that is a direct sequel is Majora's Mask, which is a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time. So the fact that they're doing this makes me actually pretty interested and pretty happy. In addition, my God, I kind of get what they were going with in terms of the final boss battle, but man, oh man, was I disappointed. I was really, really disappointed with the final boss fight, because you can definitely go around and you can get all the divine beasts, which is good. That makes the final boss much easier because you fight through all the different blights. But you then fight a giant bull who really doesn't do much in terms of attacks, and it's just running around and shooting it with light arrows. And once it goes down and dies, the cutscene ends, the ending cutscene plays, and then the game refreshes and you're right outside the final boss area. And if you just go back in, you start the final boss fight all over again. I don't like that. I would have liked to be able to explore Hyrule after Dark Ganon, Beast Ganon, whatever it was called, just was gone. And I think they're kind of righting that wrong with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. But my question is this. So, we've got possibly 5 years until this sequel is released. Now, I'm not going to say that it's impossible that this game can't come out on Switch. But will it? Will it? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the Switch is already, I think, 2 years old now, roughly. And you know, it has a little bit of problems running certain games anyway. I mean, the Tegra processor isn't bad, but it's not blowing the world up in terms of processing power. It's good, it's just not great. It's good for what it is. So it makes me wonder, and it makes me kind of worry a little bit that either we're going to have one or two things happen. This game will either require a hardware revision, so we would get like a Switch XL, which I know so many people were like, oh, that's definitely going to get announced and that's definitely going to happen, so on and so forth. But if they do that, hopefully it would remain compatible with the existing launch Switch games. Like they don't make the card slot bigger and make it impossible to have backwards compatibility with the Switch library from the very beginning. But I think that if they just keep the current Switch and they make Breath of the Wild 2 and use the same engine, use the same everything, and just give us a new story to play with, I don't think that's going to age well. And there should be new stuff and new interesting stuff that comes out of the sequel. But I don't know. If they use the exact same stuff that they used for the original Breath of the Wild, I don't think it's going to be received as well, and it wouldn't take 5 years to build. It really wouldn't. It would probably only take a couple of years. So, and the last thing I want to see, because I've already invested in the system and everything like that, is to see this come out on the Switch's successor, and that be the launch Zelda game. My hope is kind of that they do what they did with the N64 and with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, is release it, at least in this case, Breath of the Wild 2. I hope that they release it a little bit later on, which they're going to anyway, but it still works on the same setup of console. If it means that I have to get a hardware upgrade, that's probably going to happen anyway eventually, and I'm okay with that, because I can probably sell my original Switch for maybe not a lot of money, but something to help pay off the updated Switch. But yeah, I don't know. So, do you think, simple question, Breath of the Wild 2, is it coming out on the original Switch, or do you think that this is going to a Switch XL or an improved Switch, or do you think this is coming out on a later Nintendo console? Let me know, because I'd love to hear it. But yeah, beyond anything, everything that I've mentioned, biggest hype, this little fiery boy, he's coming to PC, he's coming to Switch, he's now going to be on all platforms minus mobile, but this little fiery guy, so happy to see him coming to consoles that I own. Really, really happy makes me. So, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. So, yeah.